Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Ask Joe, your weekly call-in radio show where we answer your legal questions or hot topic questions every week here Tuesday at 6 p.m. We have a special guest here this this evening, Jennifer Petrovitch is a criminal attorney who will be helping us out here today. Say hi.
Hello.
And we'll get to Jenna here in a second. So thank you all for listening, tuning in. For those of you listening for the first time, introduce myself. Again, my name is Joseph Schultz. I'm a partner with the Berman Law Group, handling personal injury matters, amongst other things. We will be talking criminal stuff this evening, but as you know, I handle all types of injuries, accidents, slip and falls, car accidents, anything you could possibly imagine where somebody's been injured. You should call me from the scene after getting medical attention. So for those of you, again, who don't have my cell phone number, I give it out. I know it's hard to write this stuff down sometimes, but 561-716-2496 is how you can reach me. You call or send me a text. I promise to get back with you within 24 hours. Also, we have not only my personal Facebook page, but the Ask Joe Radio Show on Facebook. So Google or search on Facebook, Ask Joe Radio Show. Like us, and we can communicate that way through the inbox. We will be answering a few of those questions here that I had during the week. For those, thank you for the good questions about legal stuff. There was other matters can't really mention on the air, but okay. Keep them coming. As you know, you can also search us on Apple Music, SoundCloud, Ask Joe Legal, and I'll pop up. And the podcast is uploaded almost immediately after today at about 6:35, and you can listen to that anywhere and stream us also at the True Oldies channel or iHeartRadio, I believe, is other way to get us if you're out of the signal of the 95.9 or 106.9 signal. So there you go. That's my background. Again, we're here with Jennifer Petrovitch. We're going to be talking about criminal law. The number to call in if you have a question for Jen or me, 877-960-9960, 877-960-9960 to have any question that your heart desires to have answered on the air. If you don't want to be on the air, you can call that same number again, 877-960-9960, and ask for our personal numbers. And you can ask the producer here, Mike. Hi, Mike. That he'll give out our number, and then you can contact us that way. Like I said, you don't have to wait till Tuesday to have a question answered by me or one of my guests. You can contact either me, or I'll give you Jen's information. If something comes up during the week, let's hope not. But if you do get in trouble or thinking about getting in trouble, then certainly contact us. Again, 877-960-9960. We're here for another 20 minutes or so. So welcome Jennifer Petrovitch. Hi, Jen.
Hi, thank you.
Full disclaimer, Jennifer used to work in our law firm, but she has blossomed and is out on her own now. So Jen, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. As Joe just totally said, I own a Petrovitch law firm. I handle criminal defense from everything. But I'll talk about that in a second. A little bit about me. I am a South Florida girl. Went to FAU for undergrad. Go Owls. Nova for law school. Go Sharks. I've been doing criminal defense for 6 years now. I interned all throughout law school, though, at the state attorney's office, so I know both sides really well.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. And I got to try a bunch of cases as a student, which was the craziest thing.
Wow.
And I won.
There you go.
Which is even better.
Wow.
So, I done everything, and I do everything. I went straight out of law school to private criminal defense work, and I've been in the private sector since. I do everything from tickets to expunges and seals, misdemeanors, domestic violence, felony cases, you name it, I do it. You can find me on every social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, I'm on it. You can, find me there.
And you're mainly I think you said your main office in Boca, but you handle Palm Beach County,
Broward, Dade, I go into Martin, St. Lucie, all South Florida, and then a little bit north of that. But yeah, everywhere in Florida. I do dabble a little bit in other areas of law, family. I do some landlord-tenant work, and yeah, that's about it right now.
Okay, well, that's enough. It's a full plate there.
It is.
If you have a question for Jen, mainly on criminal, but if she mentioned also there's other landlord-tenant issues that people run into, and also family law or a question for me regarding insurance, injury, car accident, litigation process in general at 877-960-9960. So Jen, a general question.
Sure.
As I'm just going to get into, maybe that's not really a political thing, but, some people have not so nice things to say about our criminal justice system. I'd just like you to opine in general, because I know, I get it a lot as being a personal injury attorney, and, all lawyers are this, and this, but I take pride in what I do, and I know you do too. So, can you set the record straight, about, sometimes people get slipped through the cracks, but for the most part, the lawyers out there are doing a good job. Meaning, when people say, how could you defend so-and-so person, it's not necessarily about getting them off all the time, right?
It's definitely not, and I look at every case differently. You got to look at everything, all the evidence, everything that the state brings against that person. And I think the main thing is you have to give them the best defense possible. And everyone always asks me, how do you do it? How do you sleep at night? As long as I know I'm representing my client and I'm working with the state attorneys and we're not being combative, we're coming together for the greater cause, that's basically what it is. I go in every day to court and I have a great relationship with all the attorneys and the judges. Everyone's trying to be fair. It's not, they look at a person and go, oh, this person comes from this background and they're going to automatically find them guilty or not guilty. It is a fair system. A lot of people are skewed by what they see on TV. There's always more to the story than people know. A lot of times evidence is never even presented. It's, not allowed. Through the rules of evidence, you can't bring in some stuff.
Absolutely.
But during sentencing, all of that's fair game. So the person may be found guilty of something, and then sentence is way worse because, everything's fair game at that point.
Correct.
The judge can see everything. So photos that were excluded, now you can see them. So it is a fair system. Unfortunately, the people that see, big, high-profile cases, that's all they see on TV.
Correct.
They're like, oh my gosh, that's so unfair. I'm like, well, honestly, it really wasn't. And I've worked on some high profile cases and I know things that when people ask me, oh, how could you do that? I'm like, well, again, you don't know what I know. You don't know that defendant like I do.
Well, good. That's a good segue. Another general question for you is, I get asked this a lot. The Constitution provides for a public defender in most cases, right? I think there's exceptions to that.
Yeah, you have to apply for a public defender, and it's a threshold of how much you make. So you apply for it. If you are granted a public defender, you get an attorney right there. If not, then you have to go find a private attorney. And there's different attorneys that, prices.
Correct. Well, that's segueing to you. I don't want to give out your rates here, but what is the advantage of hiring somebody like yourself rather than relying on a public defender, even if it's a smaller issue?
Although public defenders are great, they do have a much different caseload than a private attorney does. A private attorney has a much smaller caseload, so they can dedicate more time to your case, whereas a public defender could have 100, 200 cases.
And same with the state attorney, right?
The state attorneys have. When I worked there, I think I had, as an intern, I only had one letter of the alphabet. They separate the cases through the alphabet.
Really?
Somebody gets like A through M, somebody gets, the rest of the alphabet. I had the letter C. And I had 80 cases.
Jesus.
And there's like 5 different divisions. So imagine how many cases there are.
Yeah.
So
hiring criminal private, like you said, is for a lot of people out there maybe not familiar, which is a good thing if you're not familiar with the criminal system.
It's always a good thing.
But percentage-wise, do you feel like the people will get softer either sentences or softer plea deals than if they're going through a public defender?
Oh, I feel like I get in trouble for answering this. Joe, you're setting me up.
Yeah, I am.
Well, no, I think that private, like I said, and I'll reiterate it, we have more time to dedicate and actually look through the case with like a fine-tooth comb and really get into the meat of the case, whereas a public defender, because they have so many cases,
not that they're not competent,
they're not. Yeah, they're just overworked, unfortunately.
And you've been doing it long enough, which I think is important, where just like I've been doing it long, so I know a lot of the adjusters, I know a lot of the defense attorneys, so you know a lot of the state attorneys. So sometimes, if it's something, you might make a phone call to say, hey,
Well, you definitely, it helps when you have a good relationship with that person. I've seen them go head to head, defense attorneys and state attorneys in court, and it's just nasty.
Yeah, so I said the same thing, and I've said it on the air for all those listening, is, you know, a lot of people, again, because they see TV or they have these preconceived prejudices against attorneys, that they want the biggest jerk possible. That's not usually the best route. I don't think ever really the best route. It's always good for people who actually go to court, like you and I do all the time. You know, you're seeing the same judges, you're seeing the same people in the community, defense attorneys for you, the state attorney's office. There's some turnover, but for the people who've been doing it long enough, and you know, hire somebody who has a good relationship with those people, not a combative relationship, and has a reputation of being a jerk. Really.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a small community. I know there's a lot of people down here, but everybody kind of knows each other. Not necessarily from criminal to say personal injury to say real estate, but your reputation, pretty much, if you've been doing it long enough, and we have, that, you know, if you're a jerk, you're going to find out.
Oh, no, and judges, definitely, they know you. And even when I go to different counties, they know I'm different. They're like, oh, wait, do we know you? Like, Palm Beach County is my backyard.
Correct.
You know, so I know a lot of the judges here, and I know
I forgot to say this on the air for those of you listening. Our condolences to those who perished in the plane crash of the attorneys at Peterson Bernard. I knew 3 of them personally. I worked with them a long time. Eric in particular, I was a young attorney, and he was very professional. He could have probably taken advantage of me at the time, but he was a straight up pro. Along with Heather and the others, but great firm to work with, good people, and that's a very big loss to the legal community. Whether you do what they do as far as defense work for the most part, and criminal, that's the type of people that you want to say, hey, I'm an attorney, and you're proud of saying that. So I just want to say that to the listeners of that horrible news. Condolences to the family. And also, on a lighter note, I guess, I don't know if this is lighter or not, it's voting day, it's election day for most of us down here in South Florida, for most municipalities, so I live in Jupiter. I will be going to vote right after this because I have until 7 p.m. So for all those who are sitting there, you want your voices heard? Because like I always say, and I tell you, these local elections are a lot bigger deal than who's president for most of us, because you're voting for people who are going to raise your property taxes or build a school somewhere you don't want to build, or a road where it's going to go somewhere. So don't sit back and think these elections don't mean anything. They do. Also, the judges, I don't know if there's any judicial races going on. I don't think there's. But
I'm not.
The commissioners, all that, do your research and get out there before they close, if they haven't closed already. Forgot to say that at the top of the show. So we are nearing the halfway point break. If you want to call in, 877-960-9960. We were talking before about a couple things, and I don't like the topic because it's not easily avoidable, but it is avoidable. But I've kind of brushed upon this and just answer a question to your best of your ability. Basically, what should somebody do not to avoid a DUI, because that's the easy part. But that doesn't necessarily mean drinking anymore, right? I mean, how does the whole legal marijuana, have you ever dealt with that before? Does that...
It has been brought up, and it's one of those issues now that there's so many articles coming out, because it's, you know, legal technically, but I have had cases where they were under the influence of other things, not alcohol, you know, and it does come into play.
Correct.
So it's something you have to look at. But I think you're asking.
Yeah. So what all right. So what's the protocol, or what's your best recourse, assuming you didn't hit anybody else and you just get pulled over in a DUI?
First thing first, if you're planning on drinking, Uber, Lyft, taxi, just avoid it at all costs. It's one of the, I hate to say it this way, stupidest crimes. You're right. It's preventable. Yes. You know, you don't have to get it, and it's one of those crimes that stays on your record for basically forever. You can never get it removed. It's basically you're found guilty or not guilty, and it's black and white.
But take me through your standard, you know, when you see these signs. All right, we're going to take a break now, and then we'll get into that. Okay. We're here with Jennifer Petrovitch. You're listening to Joseph Schultz on Ask Joe. 877-960-9960. It's time to call for the second half of the show. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you for listening. Welcome back, everybody. This is Joseph Schultz with Ask Joe from the law office of Berman & Berman Law Group. Same thing. And we are the personal injury lawyers. I know that if you Google us sometimes, then there's another Berman & Berman, I think in Miami. They do real estate, but we are here in Boca Raton handling cases all over the state of Florida. I am a civil trial attorney, member of the Multi-Million Verdicts Club, meaning I have obtained verdicts in excess of $1 million. Very proud of that for my clients, getting the compensation they deserve. So if you have anybody or you've been in an accident, the time to call is now, not to wait, not to see if you can negotiate with your insurance company, because you will get the end of the wrong deal. They are not your friends. They're not on your side. You are not in good hands.
They're the bad guys.
Yeah, so you might be able to deal with your property damage and feel satisfied. But if you are injured, your medical bills are piling up, please call me at 561-716-2496. My personal cell number, call or text right away. So we're here talking to Jennifer Petrovitch from Petrovitch Law, criminal attorney, and we were off the air talking about DUIs, preventable. But if somebody has either recently got one or has in the past, or you want to know why you shouldn't drink and drive, even if you're thinking you can drink a few, because you're allowed to drink and drive.
You are,
technically.
and that's the weirdest thing that people don't understand. You are legally allowed to drink and drive. You just cannot be over the legal limit.
Which is what?
0.08.
Really? Okay. So which means for your average person is what, 2 drinks maybe?
Well, depends on your size
Exactly,
too.
it depends, so.
I mean, I think you can probably outdrink me any day. So.
Yeah, I drink most people, I think, but I don't know what that equates to a blood alcohol.
Being under the legal limit, 3 beers to me might be crazy, and then for you it might be
correct. So if you're out there drinking and you're listening or whatever, or you're thinking you got a happy hour or some kind of event,
or St. Patrick's Day this weekend.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. But if you're just thinking, I'm gonna have a couple drinks after work and go to this event and head home, be careful. Don't do it. However, if something were to happen, Jen's here to explain the process. So let's just use the example to start off with a first-time quote-unquote offender who's been pulled over, didn't hit a dog, didn't hit a car, didn't hit a mailbox. They just were swerving or whatnot.
The easiest possible DUI ever.
So at a minimum, what can someone expect from that?
So as far as punishment goes?
Yeah, punishment, time, what they have to do. I know they have to take a class and
there's a lot
are
of
they
stuff.
going to get their license suspended, things like that.
So first thing first, if someone were to get stopped, obviously the officer's going to want to do roadsides and take a breath test and all that. By law, you can refuse to do all of that. You can just say, take me to jail at that point. And then after you're taken to jail, you're released, whatever. Depending if you refuse to give the breath sample or you give the breath sample, your license is going to be suspended for 6 months or a year. It doesn't matter. And what people don't understand is with any DUI, you have 2 cases technically against you. You have the criminal case and the DMV. They don't go hand in hand. So you're going to get suspended no matter what. Even if you're found innocent, your license will still be suspended through the DMV.
That's good. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, depending.
You gotta get a hardship, I believe.
You can. And that's the thing. You have 10 days. From the day of arrest, you have 10 days to either get an administrative hearing or you can ask for a hardship and just be like, look, I don't want to do the administrative hearing. You fill out a form, done deal, you get the hardship license. So then the criminal case comes along, and if you plea, let's say, to it, there's a lot of statutory things you have to do. You're going to have to pay a fine. It could be $1,000. It could be more.
Does it go is it Florida or is it vary county to county?
It's Florida.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's Florida. And the fines increase based on first DUI, second DUI. Is it enhanced DUI, crash involved?
What would be considered enhanced DUI?
High breath, very high. If there's a crash involved. Okay. So, and if you have those two together, then never a good thing. But there's so many things that you can talk about with a DUI, but I'll stick back to your original easy one. But yeah, so statutory things, community service, ignition interlock. People who don't know what that is, it's where they're ignition interlock is the thing in your car that you have to blow into.
And you got to pay for that, right?
You do have to pay for it. That's the thing. And then they also put the boot on your car for 10 days. The ignition interlock, that will be statutory. How long? Statutory just means by law. 6 months, 3 months, a year. It's just dependent on what the statute says, and again, on the type of DUI that you're being charged with. If your breath is lower than a certain degree, you may qualify for the first time offender program though in Palm Beach County. And in Palm Beach County, what they'll do is you'll still have to do the probation of a DUI, but they'll drop the DUI and charge you just with reckless driving. Okay. And you'll get a withhold of adjudication.
Okay, what does that mean? Because I mentioned that in terms of traffic tickets. I don't know if you were listening, but what does withhold adjudication mean?
So that means they're not going to convict you as guilty. They're withholding that guilty conviction. And the good thing about that is that you can seal your record, meaning that it'll be shut. No one can see that record at all, which is different from an expunged. I know you wanted to touch on that.
We'll get on that in a second.
But DUI probation can last anywhere from 6 months to a year. You'll be paying a lot of fees for probation for the ignition interlock, for little things. And it does start adding up. And the joke is always the $10,000 mistake.
Yeah.
That's really not a joke. It truly can be up to that amount of money.
So what if they hire you, for instance, can you do it on a flat rate or is it an hourly rate?
I usually do flat rate.
Case?
I usually do flat rate, and I do work on payment plans, which is something a lot of people ask me. They're like, "Do you do payment plans?" I'm like, "Yes, I can work on payment plans with all my clients, and I work with each client depending on their, situation."
Financial needs. Do they also take credit cards?
Yes, we do take credit cards.
Okay. That's important. I get asked that a lot. I don't because we work on percentages, so I don't bill you until we get paid. So if you didn't know that already, personal injury works a little bit different. Not a little bit, a lot bit different. If we do take your case, it's on a contingency, meaning we don't get paid until you get paid. So, but you need to pay Jen right up front so you can get the least amount of punishment possible and you keep the cost down. So I know I've dabbled in it. Like if you do get a DUI and let's say they can't afford it, they don't feel they need, and they're going through the public defender. Isn't it smart to get on top of things? Like you said, you have 10 days to get the hardship,
Yep.
but also don't you have like a alcohol class or something, a DUI class?
In order for you to get the hardship, you have to enroll into a DUI school, tier 1 or tier 2, depending again on the breath and refusal and all of that. So it's a lot of little bits of information that people can get lost in. So hiring an attorney obviously is the best thing you can do because I lead that person in the right direction and give them the steps of what they need to do and take them, through the process with them. They're never left alone.
All right, because they're like you get arrested or get charged, and then there's some time before your hearing, right?
Before the criminal hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
so you
usually
have
about
time to look good, if you will.
Basically.
Community service, whatever.
Depends on the judge, the county, everything. Usually within 30 days. And that's a whole other thing because then, there's speedy trial and all that, and we'll get into that another time. But they have to bring you to get arraigned within a certain time frame.
Correct.
So you're going to be going into court fairly quickly. So you have to get all your ducks in a row before that.
And there's ancillary things to that, everybody, too, just like anything. But, from my end, I handle DUI cases from the other side, meaning if they actually caused an accident. Very easy to prove negligence on that, but also your insurance rate's going to skyrocket, if you have that on your record and things like that, which are obvious. So it's not just the fees, the cost of an attorney, all these ancillary fees, but also it can travel with you. Your car insurance goes up every month and blah, 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 blah. And then obviously your second time, third time, it gets worse and worse and worse.
It gets worse and worse.
So again, avoidable, but God forbid you or somebody, please call us or call Jen. And you want to give your cell number out?
Sure, it's 561-542-4328.
561-542-4328. And again, if you couldn't write that down, you can call us at the radio station 877-960-9960 and get the number that way. Ask for Jennifer's or mine, and they'll give it to you, and I'll put you guys in touch should you need her services. So, again, I was asked today by a friend. I was expecting a phone call. He might call in still, but he asked me, can a reckless driving be expunged? And first of all, what does it mean to be expunged?
Expunged means it's completely eradicated. It's gone from your record.
Okay.
You can legally say I've never been arrested, never been charged, never been anything, and it's gone. No one can find it.
Okay,
well,
so-
that's a lie. Government agencies can.
Yes.
But
but the question specifically was, what can I do to get my reckless driving expunged? And quite frankly, is it worth it? I believe it's because I think he's trying to be a driver for a company or something like that. And
so an expunge is totally different from a seal. And like I was just saying, if you get a withhold of adjudication, which is they're not convicting you, they're withholding it, you can only seal your record first. And you can seal it for so many years, and then after that you can expunge it.
Okay.
But a seal will just seal the record. No one can open it, no one can see it, no one can look at it, but it's still there technically.
so if somebody applied to be a truck driver, say, well, my thing's sealed, but it's going to pop up that something's sealed, and they can kind of...
Well, they'll just see that there's something. They don't have no idea what it is. You're not going to see the charges.
But they'll know it's a criminal, though, right?
They'll know, yeah. Well,
Okay.
I don't even think they can see a case number. So unless you know how to
Oh,
read a
okay.
case number, I mean,
It's better to be expunged.
yeah, it's better to be expunged. Sealing is always definitely an option also. I've done a lot of seals, and then I've done the expungement after.
So an expungement, what does that, to typically entail as far as if it's, let's say it was a first-time DUI offense, and their attorney got it pled down or whatever to a reckless, which can happen, correct?
It can.
Okay. And if that's the case, can you get that expunged? And
Still no.
Okay.
Because you're going to be found not guilty, you're going to get a withhold of adjudication.
Okay.
So you can only seal it.
Gotcha.
Expunge, it has to be null pros, which means theoretically dismissed. It has to be completely thrown out. You're acquitted. You can never have been found guilty before either. So let's say 10 years ago you were found guilty of something, and then now you're not guilty. You can't expunge that record anyways.
Wow. Well, you said there's a time period. So if I had a reckless 10 years ago, and now I wanted to expunge, does that still no? Because
Still no. You'd have to go through the seal first.
so
and
you have
then
to get a
expunge.
seal and then wait.
Yep.
Is there a statutory time?
I believe
period,
it's 10 years.
So I'd have to do it today, get it sealed, and then wait 10 years.
Yep.
Wow. All right, everybody, don't get reckless driving. We have about 2 minutes left. I will answer for those of you who sent me inbox things. I'll get to that. We're running out of time, and since we do have Jen here, I would like some feedback though. If you want Jen back on the show, because we can cover. There's plenty of criminal talk.
Oh yeah.
Here. But if you want Jen back on the show. Please let me know. Feedback and all that is welcome. Again, Ask Joe Radio Show, or you can go Google me or her. How do you spell Petrovitch?
Oh goodness. Petrov as in Victor, ITCH.
So Petro like the gas, and then Vitch. So
Yes.
that, but a V instead of a B. There you go.
Wow.
That's a good way to remember it.
I mean that's why you gotta like really emphasize that V.
Exactly. Okay, so we were just finishing because it was a hot topic. We got not too much time to talk about, but your thoughts on, if you were paying attention, I'm assuming you were, the Corey Jones tragedy also, and he was found guilty. Is there anything, comments or whatnot?
There's so many comments. I think that the jury came to a correct verdict. I think that the entire case really just fell down onto the audio. You know, did he approach Corey and say, "I'm an officer"? You know, and he didn't. At least in the video or in the audio, it's not. And that's what he held to the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's what they hang their hat on too. And again, I'm not going to say congratulations to the family, but I think everybody who's looking at that reasonably, even those who don't do criminal, can say that that was probably the proper verdict. And hopefully this doesn't happen again. But if it does, anyway, there's a nice precedent, at least in Palm Beach County, not
Yeah.
like other counties that, God, who could have thought if it was going to go the other way. But anyway, we're wrapping up here. If you have any thoughts on any of the comments we've made here today or a legal question, you could always call the station, 877-960-9960. You can Google or call Jennifer at 561-542-4328. And always reach me at 561-716-2496. I am closing the show because I am going to do my civic duty and go vote.
Go vote.
If you think you still have time. But for those of you listening, you will be back here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Thank you for listening, and Ask Joe.